Hello sa lahat ng ating mga manonood galing dito sa maulan na Quezon City, Metro Manila na mga nanonood ngayon. I'm sure you're also going through the same weather as me, but this is going to be a very hot discussion tonight. Maraming salamat po sa ating mga manonood within the Philippines and all around the world. You are watching SalveSays YouTube live show every Saturday night, and this is our show to provide financial literacy and investor education to Filipinos all over the world. And as you know, our YouTube channel is already celebrating our first year anniversary, birthday na po ng ating YouTube channel. And this early, I am asking everyone to make sure that lahat ng kaibigan nyo, kamag-anak, kasama sa trabaho, pag-subscribe nyo na, because you cannot be absent next week. Lahat ng nanonood ngayon, we're inviting you to be here again next week because we have around 100,000 worth of prizes in cash and food and other items to be given away to all our viewers who are joining our Pakulong on Saturday. So please be there because I really want to share with you the blessings that I have received. As I kept doing this episode for 12 months now. Natuwang-tuwa po ako na na-build natin ito. As you know, YouTube is more difficult than television. So very grateful po ako sa lahat ng ating mga subscribers and ating mga viewers. Again, from here and around the world, meron pong nasa Abu Dhabi, meron pong nasa Pilipinas, Doha, Qatar, Riyadh, Dubai, asan pa ba? Marami po tayong nasa UAE ngayon. And investors really who want more education for themselves para naiipon natin ang ating kaalaman para sa ating future. And tonight, ayan napakarami po nating viewers tonight. Yes po, thank you po. 1-year anniversary. Today, we have a very special episode, really moving the needle forward on investor education. A lot of you here tonight already know our topic today is about DV Boer, and it has been the subject of many complaints from other investors, but we have found a way to bring together people in this interview from different sides of the story. And magmula sa mga investors, sa mga kasamahan, sa simulang-simula pa lang ng DV Boer, to the government, and announce ko na po ba na the DV Boer Corporation has reached out to us and they will be here later to provide their official statement on what is happening. So first po, invite ko na ang ating unang guests. We will ask them to turn off their cameras. They have asked to be anonymous, but I'm very grateful that they have the courage to come out and talk about their experience in investing in this company. So paakyatin na po natin ang ating investor. Ayan, magandang gabi po, sir.
Hi, good afternoon po. Good evening.
Ayan. Thank you po sa pagpapaunlak ninyo, tama ba ang aking Tagalog, sa imbitasyon namin na sumali kayo sa interview natin ngayong gabi na ito. So very quickly, because we only have until 9 o'clock for this show, paano po kayo naimbitahan na mag-invest dito at ano po yung naging experience ninyo?
It started with yung isang colleague ko sa work. He was inviting me about it already since 2016, 2017. Mm-hmm. I wasn't convinced that time until such na nag-payout na siya. Okay, sa paiwi. Then 2018, medyo napaisip na ako, okay, why not? So nag-join ako.
Malaki po ba yung payout?
Well, yes. Nakuha niya yung, kumbaga, yung kung ano yung napangako, nakuha niya eh. So, ang ginawa niya, ni-roll niya yun. Pati yung nakuha niya, pinasok niya uli. And yung puhunan niya, pinasok niya uli. So, parang sabi ko, uy, mukhang totoo naman. At matagal ko nang kasama sa work yung tao. Kilala ko naman. So, na-convince ako na, sige, yung ahente rin niya ang ginamit namin. And then afterwards, 2018, I started with isang goat investment which is around 320,000 and isang cattle nasa 1M. Then afterwards, 2019, sometime around September, I think, 2019, nag-invest uli ako. Kasi hindi pa nakarating dito sa amin yung advisory noong 2019 na April. Wala kami kaalam-alam pa dito. So, April ata lumabas yung advisory. September, nag-invest pa ako. Walang nag-warn sa amin. Okay? Afterwards dun, nag-payout ako dun sa kambing ko eh. I was waiting for payout nung cattle, which didn't materialize anymore.
Sa goat lang kayo kumita. How much po yung kinita ninyo?
Well, technically, hindi ako kumita kasi ang nag-first payout ko is something like 90,000 ata. Ang ininvest ko is 320. So, may mga
Kulang
200. Kulang pa. Okay? So, nung October, November, nalaman na namin yung nangyayari na may advisory na. And we were trying to reach out na puro, sandali lang, puro ganun na. And then finally, yung December, we know that we are not going to see anything anymore. So total,
yung ina-expect, yung pinapromise po sa inyo na return was how much?
Dun sa kambing, more or less you're going to get around 90% back. So you're going to, at the end, you're going to get around 300,000.
By sa haba ng gaano katagal?
3 years. In 3 years. Okay? So, magiging parang 9 months ang unang payout and then 8 months na ata yung magkakasunod. So, in that 3 years, you'll get more or less 600 something back. So, parang, para sa amin, parang, okay, nagtatrabaho pa ako dito, may side na papasok, di ba? So, encouraging. And ang dami nung mga kasama ko sa work na nauna sa akin, nag-payout sila eh. Pero lahat sila nag-roll.
Okay, so, binalik nila sa kumpanya.
Yes. Lahat kami ngayon na nagulat na eto na yung sitwasyon namin. And then on top of that, every time na nagtatanong kami, we were met with insult from Mr. Villamin. Ini-insulto kami yan. Talagang bastusan talaga yan. Hindi pwedeng sabihin sa FB lang kasi live niya ginagawa eh. So, video,
live pa paano po? Na phone call, video call? Paano po yan?
Video niya sa FB live. Okay? Papangalanan niya yung tao na we were speaking out. Kasi tinatanong namin tungkol doon sa breach. Sasagutin kami ng, hindi breach yun. Okay? Na hindi daw namin naiintindihan na hindi daw breach yung hindi niya kami nabayaran on a contract. Which, honestly, maybe mahina ako, pero I think I can understand what breach of contract is. Okay? So, sasagot-sagutin kami ng ganun. Tatawagin yung mga kasama niya. Natawag kami ng troll. We were even threatened with cyber libel, things like that. May mga na-demanda na-dismiss yung kaso. Okay? And then,
siya nagdemanda dun sa ibang kasamahan ninyo?
Nagdemanda. Honestly, ako, wala naman ako na-receive. Wala pa ako na-receive dahil from 2019 until now, na-strand kami dito. So, hindi na kami nakauwi until now. And we were hoping na kahit papano, yung marami sa amin na nung tinanong, mabawi lang namin yung puhunan namin. Yeah? Kahit papano, hindi na baling hindi kami kumita. Okay? At least, may balik yung pera namin. Pero hindi, medyo, we were met with, kaya nasabi ko, insults at may mura pa eh. Okay? So, parang kami na yung dehado, kami pa yung parang lumalabas na may kasalanan nun. So, we reached out to Presidential Complaint Center sa Malacanang. They answered and forwarded our complaints to SEC, which nung tumawag ako overseas, I think that was around 2020 rin na tayo, tumawag ako overseas. While at work, tumawag ako sa SEC. Ang daming numbers, pasapasahan. And then later on, it was like, I felt na pag naririnig nilang DV Boer ang usapan, parang, hindi namin maano yan. Parang somebody is instructed to not talk about it. So wala kami
That's how you
malapitan.
felt. That's how you felt, sir. Wala kayong malapitan.
Yes.
Mm.
Wala eh. Wala talaga. Hanggang sa yung may isang partner natin, investor, si Irish, na nakita namin sa news, sa NBI, na nagpasa na ng kaso. Sinampahan siya ng kaso. And may nagbuo na rin ng group. Yun ata, nagkaroon na siya ng 2 warrant. Then later on, lahat na ng anything connected to the company, the Paiwi Online, which is the portal that we check on our investment, lahat yun nawala kasi. Lahat yun tinake down niya. Pati
So
yung
lahat po ng
page.
communication, ayun. So lahat ng communication ninyo with the agent and yung mga other methods of communication na wala yun. Wala na
Nawala.
kayong connect ngayon with DV Boer.
Yung agent mismo, binlock na nga ako. Hindi na namin
Naka-block
mahanap.
na kayo. Tapos,
Hindi,
di ba usually po nakikipag-usap siya sa mga investors through Facebook, may mga online meetings. Tama po ba?
yes.
Nawala na rin po yun.
Yung mga iba doon, meron kaming mga na-save na video na obviously minumura lang niya kami doon eh. So watching those are just lalo lang nakakainit ng ulo.
Na-stress kayo. Sir, ito pong pera na nilagay nyo sa investment na ito po ba ay pang-retirement sana ninyo pag umuwi na kayo ng Pilipinas?
Part is yes, part is para sa pamilya, para sa mga anak ko. Lalo na ngayon na medyo pandemic, ang daming naipit sa family. So kailangan namin tumulong. And then meron pa nga akong na-meet dito. They were, I would certainly, siguro 100% na ako sure na siguro yung ininvest nila is talagang retirement na nila. Kasi 30 years na daw sila dito. 12M.
So doon binuhos lahat. Doon binuhos lahat na inipon nila galing sa trabaho.
Yes. Kaya parang nakakasama ng loob. Diba? Na ganun namin. So, tapos wala kami malapitan.
Yes, sir. All right. Thank you so much, sir, for giving us all of this information. We will bring you back again on the stream later. If you're still available, we're going to bring in our second guest for tonight. This person is somebody who can give light on the kind of person that Mr. Dexter Villamin is. Cong Argel Cabatbat, would you like to come up, please? Hi, Cong. Thank you so much for joining us tonight.
Thank you, Ms. Salve, for inviting me, and good evening to all of our listeners and viewers.
Kong Argel, tama po ba na magkakilala talaga kayo ni Mr. Dexter Villamin?
Yes, nakilala ko siya around 2017 through a common friend na gusto mag-sub-farm. So, I was given the sub-farm contract. Tapos, pinapaliwanag niya sa akin yung vision. And to be honest, I was really captivated. Kasi, eto sila na gusto nilang tumulong sa mga OFWs para kumita, and at the same time, they will help in securing our or helping our food security. So parang tapos they will generate employment in the process. So talagang pagka tinignan mo, napakaganda ng vision.
Yes.
So nagkaroon kami ng mga subsequent meetings noon, and eventually DV Boer hired me as their lawyer. So in fact, sa mga videos nila lumalabas sa doon na sinasabi ko na ang Paiwi, it is my opinion that it is not an investment contract kasi merong merong product na counterpart. But sabi ko, if SEC will require us to comply by securing a secondary license, DV Boer is willing to do so. Then, nagtanong-tanong ako sa mga lawyers din, ako ng second opinion. Talagang gray area siya. Merong nagsasabi investment contract, may nagsasabi hindi, contract of service So, sabi ko kay Dex, to be safe, you should secure a secondary license. So, siguro, on 3 different occasions, I tried to convince him to secure a secondary license. Pagka nagpapadala ako engagement contract, sasabihin mo na, hindi, attorney, okay na. I think our business model is solid. Yan yung lagi na sinasabi. Then, biglang lumabas itong SEC advisory. Ito na nga yung kinakatakot ko. Tapos, nagulat ako right after lumabas yung SEC advisory, biglang hindi naka-payout yung DV Boer. So, ano kaya nangyayari?
I'm sorry, biglang hindi naka-payout. Biglang hindi na nakakapagbayad ng returns.
Yes. So, parang bakit gano'n? Akala ko solid yung business model niya. Kasi I'm not meddling with the operations of the farm. So, ako lang, basta may mga legal documents ang pinare-review, sige, reviewin ko. Kaya lang, nung right after ng SEC advisory, I think that's April or May, the next month, hindi na sila maka-payout. So, sabi ko, bakit ganun? Kung kumikita yung business, kahit na walang pumasok na pera dyan, kahit wala ulit magpa-iwi, dapat nakaka-payout sila. So, doon na nagtataka na ako. Tapos, isang malapit sa akin yung mga employees ng DV Boer. Nagsasabi sa akin na si Dex ay dalas sa Okada, nagkakasino. Tapos ang dami niyang bahay na binili sa Ayala Alabang, sa Versailles. Basta marami siyang mga Versailles. Sorry, di ko alam talaga hanggang ngayon ang pronouncement niyan. Ang dami rin niyang, nakikita ko yung ibang luxury cars niya, pero talagang marami nang nagbigay sa akin ng information na grabe pala yung gastos nila na pang-personal. Tapos,
you think this is one of the reasons kaya hindi sila makabayad ng returns?
Eventually, I was able to conclude that. Kasi nagulat ako lalo nung sa isang meeting, merong nagbulong sa akin na Cong ang na ako nito nasa Congress na ako Cong ang kambing lang nila sa farm ay 5,000. Pero dapat ang nasa inventory ay nasa 101,000. Doon ako nagulat, para akong binuhusan ng malamig na tubig. Na Diyos ko, scam to. Ginagawa lang palang front. So, what I did, dahil I consider Dex as my friend, I set a meeting one-on-one with him sa BTC to confront him of these things. Pati yung kinuha niya 500 million sa microfinance. Doon ako mas lalong kinilabutan kasi he was lying through his teeth sa harap ko. And ako pa yung ginagaslight niya. Na ako pa yung binabaliktad niya, ako yung may kasalanan, wala daw nagawa sa kongreso. So imagine kung isang simpleng tao palang kausap nito will be intimidated. Gaslighting talaga Kanina nakikinig ako doon sa investor na sila pa yung sinisisi. Ganun ganun katindi na bakit kasi kayo nag-invest ng pera na you cannot afford to lose. So, di ba dapat pag mag-i-invest ka, you invest only the money that you can afford to lose. So, pinabaliktad sila. So, ganun na nga, ang daming lumapit sa akin ng mga whistleblowers. Kaya, sabi ko, I consider myself as a victim kasi my legal expertise was used for this scam. Kaya doon pa lang nag-decide ako, I will help the victims. I will be the one to bring this monster down.
Kong Argel, were you also an investor?
Actually, ang mga investor, I used to before, but I already divested sa isang farm sa Nueva Ecija. Pero ang talagang nag-invest, mga kapatid ko, mga kaibigan ko. So, yeah, I'm a victim as far as that is concerned. Lalo na mga kapatid ko involved din na nalugi rin dahil dyan.
Some people are also asking, were you able to invite other people to invest also? Because that's how it works, di ba? Hindi po.
No. I confined myself with my legal duty as a lawyer. So hanggang doon lang ako. Pagka may nagtatanong, kaya lang merong mga instances na may nagte-text sa akin na attorney, nag-invest kami sa DV Boer, nakita ka kasi namin doon na ikaw pala yung lawyer. So doon ako doon ako sumasama loob na although hindi ako nagyaya ng investor, kaya lang yung nagamit yung pangalan ko, yun yung masakit. So that's why I am taking up this crusade of helping the victims.
Mm-mm. You are very much aware of all the negative comments already out there. I'm sure, Kong Argel, alam mo na some people are blaming you, some people are saying kasama ka talaga dito. How do you react to that? What do you see?
Well, ako the truth will set us free eh. So ako, amin ko na ako yung abogado ng DV Boer. In fact, SEC will attest, meron akong letter before, pagka-issue ng SEC advisory, I wrote a letter as a lawyer of DV Boer, defending DV Boer, na sabi ko, this is not an investment contract. So, ni-reiterate ko yung aking legal opinion. Not knowing what Dex was doing behind his farm operations. Hindi ko pa kasi alam yung kulang sa inventory sa kambing. Hindi ko pa talaga napagtatagpi-tagpi yung paggastos niya ng pera ng investors sa luho nila. Hindi kasi ako chismoso eh. Kumbaga, kung meron lang nag-info talaga sa akin, doon ko na lang siya i-entertain. Kaya, well, inaamin ko, naging abogado ako ng DV Boer. And, but I have no other interest in, prosecuting them aside from seeking justice, kasi alam nyo, marami akong mga kaibigan na nabiktima. Meron pang isa na gusto na niyang barilin yung dalawang anak, yung asawa niya, tapos isusunod na niya yung sarili niya. Kasi nalubog talaga siya. Ang dami kong stories na narinig na hiniwalayan din ang asawa, tapos savings na para sa anak niya na may sakit. Alam mo yun, hirap ngayon na, eto Miss Salve, ang dami nilang nilapitan ng mga politiko, government officials, government agencies, at nakikita ko yung galaw, wala eh. At walang politiko talaga na tumayo para sa kanila. So ako na nandito na parang ako yung may kapangyarihan ngayon, alam ko yung punot dulo nito, and I think I know how to seek justice and at least try to return to them their investments. So that's why I'm taking this crusade. Yun lang yung dahilan ko kung bakit ako ngayon yung nangunguna. No other, I have no other, kasi I consider this as a curse so lang, Miss Salve, kasi ang hirap ng laban. Dex and Dex filed cases against me and the rest of the whistleblowers. Ang dami naming criminal cases na pinagsasampa ni Dex. Pero
so these cases are filed against you here in the Philippines because you are trying to bring to light what is happening? Parang ganun.
Yes. Meron akong dalawang carnapping cases. Meron ako isang
carnapping.
Yes, yun nga hindi ko maintindihan kasi before ino-offeran, although na-dismiss naman na yung mga carnapping cases na yan, definitely. Ino-offeran ako ng sasakyan pagkatapos na lumabas ng yan eh. I think right before or right after ng SEC advisory, binibigyan ako ng land cruiser. So ako, nagtataka ako, bakit ako bibigyan out of nowhere? So tinanggihan ko. Tapos yun na nga, he took it against me. Parang, hindi ako makokontrol na ito. Ganun. So doon na medyo sumama na ang pakikitungo niya sa akin doon. But anyway, yung ibang mga cases naman na final sa mga whistleblowers, na-dismiss na rin lahat. Pati yung mga victims na nagpo-comment sa Facebook, na-dismiss na rin yung mga online libel cases against them. And I think meron din yatang pinail na kaso sa Hataw because Hataw has been helping the victims expose the scam. So pati sila kinakasuhan. Lahat ng pumayag, lahat ng salita, lahat ng tumutulong, kinakasuhan ni Dex. So yun yung
did you feel harassed? I mean, aside from the cases, Kong Argel, of course you're a lawmaker. Aside from all of these cases, did you also feel harassed in other ways? Were there other ways where you feared for your life? Because this is something that I keep hearing from a lot of people who invested. They felt harassed, they felt in danger. Bakit po ganun?
Well, first of all, we are trying to dismantle a scam. Nasa kanila yung pera natin ng mga victims. And they are using that money against us. So, harassment is an understatement. Kasi ako, Miss Salve, naambos na ako eh. Medyo aware na ako sa surroundings ko. Alam ko kapag kami nagki-casing sa akin. And since I took up the cause of the DV Boer scam victims, may nagki-casing talaga sa akin. Tapos meron din tayong mga kaibigan sa intelligence na nagki-feedback. So meron. Pati nga yung, I don't know, I don't have the authority to disclose that, pero a close friend of mine na-harass din ng ganyang level. Tapos marami rin siyang, si Dex, marami siyang mga radio interviews, particularly with Argel Cabatbat, na doon talaga niya binira, hindi lang ako, kundi lahat ng mga nagrereklamo sa kanya, lahat ng whistleblowers na humingi ng tulong sa akin. So talagang demonized kami na malaban. So talagang kaya kaya hindi ko masisi kung bakit yung ibang politiko ay kialam, kasi for sure they will expect criminal cases from Villamin kapag tumulong sila sa mga victims.
Kong Argel, I see a lot of comments now from our viewers both on Facebook and YouTube. Meron na daw pong mga investors na namatay na lang. Hindi pa natanggap yung mga payout. Merong, anong tawag nito? Buong retirement fund ng mag-asawa na invest sa DV Boer. I think a lot of stories like this because I know for a fact that you've been trying so many different investor groups and you were actually parang instrumental, no, in the cases that came out, yung nagkaroon na nga ng decision yung mga prosecutors. Kong Argel, we will bring you down for a little while and then bring you back up again later to be together with all of the other guests. Thank you so much po sa mga information. Isa lang pala, sorry, nakalimutan ko. Why do you think Dexter was able to amass or create such a company na naging kilala I mean, you can say it's all over the world. People were investing in him. I've met him once and I've talked to him several times via text, phone call, tama ba? Text or phone call. But alam ko, nag-usap na kami because I interviewed him. He seemed to be such a believable person, di ba? Very charismatic, very believable. When we were talking, I didn't feel harassed at all. He was very forthcoming, very nice to talk to, in fact. Is this part of the reason why he really was able to create something like this company?
Well, he was able to pull it off because, as you said, he is very charismatic. Kahit ako abogado na ako, talagang na-captivate pa ako. He is charismatic and I think he is incapable of emotions. Or nasusuppress niya. So, kayang-kaya niyang magsalita ng hindi totoo. And pinag-aaralan ko siya, ang opinion ko, he's suffering from narcissism. And narcissistic persons are toxic Imagine, nagpatayo siya ng sarili niyang rebulto. Who in his right mind would do that? Pero yung confidence niya sa sarili niya is captivating and magnetic. Kaya he was able to convince a lot of people. Kasi nga, talagang sobrang confident niya. He is not bound by reality. He is not bound by our rules of truthfulness. So he was able to convince and dupe a lot of people. So I think that's his ingredient or formula for initial success of his marketing stunt.
Baka kasama sa success ng marketing plan kong Argel yung pumupunta sa event. Sabi lang sa akin and I'm trying to confirm this, he goes to events in a helicopter, he has several luxury cars, maraming bahay. Yes. I mean, if you want to join a business, you would want to join a businessman who seems to be very successful, but sometimes
Yes, actually, totoo. And it adapt to to his persona na hindi na niya kailangan magsalita. The fact na lumapag siya sa helicopter, successful yung business natin. So alam niyo yun, although it's illogical, it's a fallacy, pero it appealed to the emotions of the investors.
Thank you so much, Kong Argel. We'll bring you down for a bit. because
Yes.
now, ladies and gentlemen, we have our next guest, Commissioner Kelvin Lee of the Securities and Exchange Commission, one of the people who has been very very engaged with creating a safe investment environment for all Filipinos here and around the world. We'd like to ask Commissioner Kelvin Lee to come up on screen. Hi, sir! Magandang gabi!
Hi, Salve. Good morning. Good evening po. How are you? See you
Good
again.
morning din naman sa ibang mga nanonood sa atin. So
Uh-huh.
I am hoping that this partnership also with you in providing investor education to many Filipinos who really, despite the pandemic, gusto nila mag-invest. Kasi naiintindihan nila yung benepisyo nung na meron kang active income pero gusto mo rin mag-create ng passive income. And I see a lot of comments from people on the stream, on Facebook and YouTube saying, nag-invest na nga kami pa may kasalanan. Ano ba yung gagawin namin? So, Commissioner Kelvin, can you tell us and everybody who's watching any update on the SEC investigation on DV Boer? I know that in the year in 2019, SEC issued an investment advisory against DV Boer, and this was lifted, I think, a year after, but asking upon conditions. I remember that advisory very clearly. Inilift yung advisory pero may conditionality na hindi na magbebenta nung paiwi tapos magbabayad ng fines. Ano na po yung update ngayon?
Before I answer that, Ma'am Salve, can I just clarify? The order kasi na in-issue ng SEC Commission and Bank, meaning the five of us, the four commissioners and the chairman, essentially fined DV Boer. No? We fined them, I think 3 million pesos yata or something. I forget na, no? Because they were caught nga violating Section 8 of the Securities Regulation Act, which essentially says that you're not supposed to sell securities. And we consider those item securities, no, yung paiwi program niya. You're not supposed to sell securities unless you filed and approved, merong registration statement duly filed and approved by the SEC, what we call a secondary license to a certain extent. No? And as si Cong said nga, it doesn't seem like they filed nga, no? Which is precisely why we find them as to that. So when we issued the advisory and then issued the order later on, yung fine nga na 3 million pesos, they were also ordered to stop offering and soliciting yung mga ganon, yung mga securities, unless they filed security registration statement, which I understand they were supposed to process, no, because they filed an undertaking naman with us, parang affidavit, essentially saying that they are going to do that. They promised to do that. So, and then it was on that basis that we lifted the advisory. Based on the check, I think I had my staff check, no, with yung mga department, kasi the NBank is not the one that directly approves yung registration statement. Sorry, directly processes the registration statement. It's looking like a ongoing pa daw. At least that's what they're telling me. It's not clear to me, however, if si trying to
Commissioner, medyo galaw-galaw. nawala po si Commissioner ng medyo nawala po ang signal ni Commissioner, baka kasi maulan. Ako nga rin po kinakabahan kasi baka mamaya mawala din po tayo. Pero we hope that he will come back. Ayan, he's back again. Ay, sorry. Okay.
Yeah.
Alright.
I switched to my phone na lang. Sorry, nag 5G na lang po ako.
Okay. Oo, kasi maulan kung ako.
Sorry, what was I saying? I think I got lost on the part na they're supposed to file a registration statement. Hindi nga clear lang sa akin if they're continuously coordinating with the department that handles that downstairs, no, the Market Securities Regulation Department. Bottom line, if they are supposed to comply with that before they're allowed nga to sell again. If they are selling, and I would be very interested, I'm actually very interested in maging outcome sa discussion na to, whether or not the DV Boer is indeed selling na naman itong mga securities even without yung registration namin na kasi wala pa daw kami na approve eh. So that's something that I'm curious to hear about, no. And if may pala, Ma'am Salve, can I just quick sing it lang? I heard kanina yung si witness number 1, I think, saying that when he would call the SEC phone numbers and then parang iniiwas po siya. I apologize for that. I don't know if that's true or not. No, I am not in a position to say whether or not that's true. If that is your experience, I'm sorry. That is not the intention of the commission, yung mga people namin. It's possible lang. Mahirap po talaga, medyo swamp kami with phone calls, no? And I encourage si witness number 1 na lang po, and even the good congressman, kung meron po kayong complaint that you intend to file in relation to this, please file a verified complaint sa EPD. I'll just give you the email address, epd@sec.gov.ph. That's
Ayan,
our...
ilalagay po natin dito sa stream. Ano po yun ulit? EIPD.
Sorry. No, this one is EPD. That's the investigators po talaga namin. So
EPD
at sec.gov.ph.
Okay, dyan po sila mag-i-email.
Yes, please.
For investors, please email. Ayan, please, lalo na po ngayong pandemya, siguro mas maganda na nga din yung email. So for investors, please email epd@sec.gov.ph. And okay, so uulitin ko lang po, the good commissioner is saying sorry kung hindi kayo naka-connect, pero gagawa ng paraan. This is the email address where you can send all of your complaints or concerns, no, Commissioner, not just for this company but all other investment concerns. Please send to this address so that it can be investigated. Ayan, ito na po yung email. Sa mga nagtatanong po sa baba, ayan na po yung email address. Ano po? Commissioner, I have Dexter Villamin in the call. I would like to bring him up later, pero tatapusin po muna natin ang interview natin, and then we'll ask you to come back on stream, tayong lahat mag-uusap. And I think that this is a great opportunity. I think, no, Commissioner, Commissioner is one of those, alam mo, para sa akin, for government officials to be so open and so willing to say sorry, number one, is so refreshing. And I thank you so much na you are that kind of government official who is not afraid to really talk to people, so Commissioner, moving forward, because we have seen so many cases in the past. Marami na, hindi po ito ang una, and sometimes what happens is the intent in the beginning is great, di po ba? And then it runs afoul of kasi yung mga nagtatayo ng kumpanya hindi talaga aware na kailangan ng secondary license to be able to sell securities, and then hindi nakakapag-comply, and then tears happen because of that. And the SEC's existence really is to create that safe investment environment para sa bawat Pilipino, lalo na yung maliliit na investors. Kasi kung malaki investor ka, sabihin natin, iuutot mo lang yung 5 milyon. Nasa YouTube ako, Commissioner, kaya pwede ako magsalita ng ganyan. O nasa ANC ako, hindi ko magagawa yan, di ba? Madali lang yun. Parang, okay, let's shrug it off. But if you have investors who are placing their 5 million and that's their entire retirement fund, or di kaya minsan pambayad sa pang-cancer treatment, di ba? Yung mga ganyang kwento. What do you say to investors so that they don't lose their money when they're investing?
Well, Ma'am Salve, we have a campaign that we call Check with SEC. We encourage yung mga investors, you check with the SEC nga po muna. You check if it's a duly registered na company, meaning nag-incorporate po talaga ba yung company na to, which would help it to be legitimate. And if it is investment-taking na company, meaning nagsusolicit po ng investments, then check if there is actually a secondary license, like what I mentioned kanina under Section 8 ng Securities Regulation Code, that we approved and allowed its registration statement and allowed it to sell nga that particular security. And of course, yung na-mention po ni the good congressman and ni witness number 1 po, yung mga advisories, check if there are advisories that we have issued, check if we issued mga cease and desist orders. The fact that we issued them can be a red flag na rin, no, on your end. Siguro, bottom line, I encourage you to check with us and also to do your due diligence kasi, well, we can't be everywhere din eh. SEC is, among the different regulators dito sa Philippines, we're actually one of the most undermanned. Yun nga medyo problema namin. Well,
kulang pa sa tao.
Medyo kulang po kami. So we try to do the best we can with what we have. So that might lead din nga to some of the issues si witness number 1 mentioned kanina, that he couldn't get to a right phone call or hindi siya pinansin or nahirapan yung tao to discuss. So things like that. So there are many challenges. So we encourage you on your end, do your due diligence po talaga. It would help a lot on your end. If there are red flags or may hesitation po kayo konti, then it's better not to invest. In fact, if I could, I also handle mutual funds kasi Ma'am Salve, and I'm sure you're very familiar with mutual funds. I encourage people to go with mutual funds na lang if they're not so sure. I mean, the returns are less, but it is safe, no? So that's something I'd like to mention.
And the very common question, Commissioner, among investors is, kung kunwari nakapaglagay na at katulad yan, hindi na nila makuha, wala nang nagbabalik ng pera nila, kahit yung kapital hindi nakakabalik, ano po ba yung magiging proseso? Kasi yung iba naiinip, yun nga, pag tumatawag, walang tao, or sumulat sa SEC, hindi nasasagot. Ano po ba yung proseso? And is there a possibility for them to get their money back in case, I'm not saying the case against DV Boer is still in court, wala pa pong desisyon, 'di ba, ang korte, so hindi pa natin pwedeng ituldukan yan dahil the judicial process is still, still a process, 'di ba? Pero in case, and for past cases where talagang nasabi na ito ay scam, estafa talaga ito, makukuha pa ba ng mga investors ang kanilang pera?
Well, in theory, they could if they file cases na lang po siguro, no? Whether it be criminal or civil cases. Just to be clear though, no, Ma'am Salve, that is not a power ng SEC pala. No? That is something called the clawback power, no? Na, meaning we could order sana the investing company to the soliciting company to give back the money to refund it. Sadly, that's not
sorry,
Commissioner. Sorry.
Ano po?
Clawback. It's called the clawback.
Clawback. Roar. Gusto ko yun ang roar. Okay. Clawback provision. That is not clear. That is not the power of the SEC.
That is a power of the US SEC. We tried to pattern it, and we were under the impression before kasi that the provisions of our law allowed us to do that. However, the Supreme Court has said kasi bawal po yan. In the 2015 case, Subic Bay na case po yata, sinabihan po kami that we have no power to issue refunds. As a result of which, we've been advising people na lang talaga moving forward na if you want to get the money back, you're gonna have to file complaints, no, in relation
the courts.
In the courts talaga. So that is, we can help you with that. We're always happy to help you when it comes to these things, no, na in the investigation, in the filing of cases. But for us to be able to get the money and give it back to you, that's not our power po kasi. Sinita na po kami ng report po kasi. So,
kailangan po talaga yata natin kumatok sa ating mga lawmakers para, I mean, maybe that's parang a necessity for us to create a better environment, because as we know, going through the judicial process is long, tedious, and very expensive. And if we have additional support from the executive branch to actually, number one, file a case. Kasi kayo mismo, in my understanding, Commissioner, the SEC itself cannot file a case against what some people would say scammers. Kailangan ninyo ng complainant. Tama po ba?
That's a case-to-case basis, Ma'am Salve. We can, if there are if there's enough evidence for it to justify that we filed the case. Pero yun nga, sometimes kasi we need the help of the complainants to submit to us yung mga evidence nga po. For instance, in this case, I'm being told nga na from what I heard, may mga issues po pala about the continuous investment. It would have helped if there's verified complaints, kasi my understanding is wala ngang bagong complaint pa yata na sa amin.
Wala pa, ayun. So hindi pwedeng basta-basta email lang. This has to be a notarized complaint, etc. So everybody who's listening, if you are investors, whether here or you have other complaints, please make sure you also comply. No? You also comply.
Ma'am, it's similar to how the NBI and the police operate, diba? Yung mga blotter, you have to prepare before an attesting officer, things like that. We work under the same rules, no? Under the same evidentiary requirements. So medyo may constraints po kami. We have to follow those. Otherwise, mag-dismiss lang din yung case later on sa court.
Right. Thank you, Commissioner. Maraming salamat. We'll bring you back up on the stream again in a little while. I'd like to ask our next guest. We have verified that this is indeed Mr. Dexter Villamin, but he has asked to go off cam, and we respect his decision. Mr. Dexter, akyat na po. Hi, Mr. Dexter. How are you? Hello? Okay, nawala po. Nawala po siya. We will try to, ayan. Ay, sir,
Ayan.
kumusta po?
Ay, Salve, magandang gabi at magandang gabi sa lahat ng mga listeners and viewers mo at saka sa ating mga guests kay Sir Kelvin Lee.
Mhm. Okay, Sir Dexter, napaka-grateful po ako na nakita ko yung post ninyo sa Facebook page ko, and so we immediately invited you to come up because, as you know, journalists, we are required to really give two sides to the story. And would you like to address the concerns? Meron tayong investor kanina, hindi ko po alam kung napanood ninyo, may investor na nagsabi, and this is just one case, as you well know, and then we had Cong Argel Cabatbat and Commissioner Kelvin Lee up. What do you say to all of those investors who say, we've been waiting for a long time to get our payouts, and kailan namin ito makukuha?
Okay. Salve, maraming sinabi yung ating paiwi partner kanina at saka si Congressman Cabatbat na mga immaterial naman sa case. So hindi ko na yun itatopic kasi I understand that you have a very limited time at ganun din ako, no? Ang sasabihin ko lang ay yung mga vital points regarding the matter concerning DV Boer. Okay, so unang-una may nagtatanong kailan ba at paano ba makukuha ng partner or makukuha pa ba ng paiwi partner ng DV Boer ang kanyang investment? You have to understand, Salve, that DV Boer is a juridical entity duly registered sa Securities and Exchange Commission. If you're going to examine the contract, kaya alam mo ang mga cases na isinampa sa amin ay dismiss lahat. Because it is binded with a contract, not with me, but with DV Boer. So kahit examinin mo siyang mga contract nila, sila po ay pumasok sa contract with DV Boer, and they paid not to me but with DV Boer. And if that is the case, meron niyang mga audit na ginagawa sa corporation, internal at saka external, na yan ay sinasubmit namin sa Securities and Exchange Commission as our compliance. Ngayon, answering the question, kailan makukuha pa ba ng partners ang pera nila? Of course, makukuha nila sa corporation. Kasi nandun ang pera sa corporation. At ginamit
bakit po hindi pa nabibigay? All of these people have been saying matagal, late na.
Sandali, Salve. Kasi the contract is about livestock farming o magre-raise tayo ng livestock, merong goat, merong cattle. Ngayon, nung nagkaroon ng SEC advisory, the bank closed our accounts and we were not able to perform our regular business activities. Now, nagkaroon kami ng problema sa cash flow, namatay ang mga animals namin. At yan po ay dinisclose namin sa SEC prior to the lifting of advisory. Dinisclose namin yan, namatay ang animals eh.
Lahat po ng animals?
Oo, kasi alam mo, very sensitive ang mga animals pagka hindi nakakakain yan, hindi na bibigyan ng proper care. Pati mga employees namin, hindi namin nabayaran ang iba sa kanila, kaya nag-alisan. Tapos pumutok naman ang taal, yung mga forage na nakokolekta namin na dati ay libre lang, hindi namin maipakain sa animals namin, kaya lalo kami nagka-problema and so on. Ngayon, but that is another thing. Now we are just going to concentrate doon sa investment kung sinasabi bang scam ba ang DV Boer. Of course not. Kasi it has been proven many times, kahit nga sa SEC na lift yung advisory namin. Kahit sa mga courts na didismiss ang case. Ngayon, itong pumasok na case na ito, this is very, yung sa Taytay at saka sa Quezon City, this is very suspicious. Kasi you have to understand that they have filed these cases in many jurisdictions. Lahat po ay dismiss. Ito lang ang pumasok na dalawa. And despite the order of the Department of Justice to consolidate these cases for proper resolution na hindi magkakaroon ng contradiction ang mga resolutions, ay hindi sila sumunod, bagkus ay ipinail nila at they should have turned over the case to the Department of Justice as the Honorable Secretary Menardo Guevara has ordered through the DOJ order number 110 to consolidate these cases. Pero hindi sila sumunod. Ang ginawa nila, final lang nila. But that is another thing again. Now, itong mga partners na ito, which they have entered into a contract of farm service sa DV Boer, no? Of course, they are binded with the contract. At sa contract, may mga provisions yan. Pag namatay ang animals, papalitan.
Yes, I remember.
Yeah, nasa contract yun lahat eh. But the thing is, we are not in the best position right now considering the cash flow of the farm, the current situation brought about by the pandemic, and many other factors. Ngayon, marami pang harassment cases na ginagawa against us. Eh kami mga director lamang ng DV Boer, hindi naman totoo yung sinasabi nila na nasa akin ang pera, bumili daw ako, sabi ni congressman na ewan ko ba kung bakit nagkakaganito ang ating honorable congressman, congressman pa naman.
Sir Dexter, I have a question. I remember.
So marami daw akong biniling bahay sa Ayala, Alabang. Hello.
Dexter, let's keep the conversation respectful. I mean, and there are different kinds of opinion about different people, but I've said in the beginning of the show that we are not going to call, let's keep the stream very, very productive na lang. I remember when I met you and we had an interview in ANC, you told me that I was concerned about the fatality rate. I asked you, how can you give guaranteed returns? The fatality rate of livestock is very high, especially in the Philippines. And you told me, I remember you told me, Salve, pagka namatay yung livestock nitong investor, papalitan ko ng livestock ko. That's why I can guarantee the return. That's what you said. I remember you said that.
Yeah. And that is true. Kaya lang kasi fortuitous event na itong nangyari. This is out of my control.
But this was before the pandemic, di ba? And the Tagaytay.
Before the pandemic. And
before Tagaytay.
But it started from the SEC advisory na hindi kami makapagbenta ng animals namin. We cannot offer our services kasi nga we are practically blocked by the banks. So how can we conduct our business? Ngayon, maraming mga kagaya nito. Sa title pa lang, parang we are being portrayed as scammers. Siyempre, yung mga business, we will be isolated from the business world kung pinoportray kaming scammers and
Dexter, hindi ako naglagay ng scam sa title. Tinatanong lang natin kung makukuha. Kasi a lot of investors are asking if they can get their money back. I mean, in any investment, in an investment contract, an investor can, di ba?
Yeah.
Pwede silang kumuha ulit. Pwede nilang bawiin yung kanilang capital at the very least.
Yeah, tama yung sinabi mo and I'm very thankful na ako ay binigyan mo ng chance para makasagot dito. Tama yun at yung program mo that you are educating people about financial literacy. Also, they also need to understand the corporation, how it works, how the corporation works. So, sila po ay nakipagkontrata sa corporation to raise their animals. At sa kontrata po nila ay may provision po ng mga kung may mangyayari, kung mamamatay. And ultimately, may mga corporate civil remedies naman po sila na magagamit para po makapag-claim sila ng liabilities ng corporation sa kanila. Hindi naman po sa amin nagbayad sila, kundi sa corporation.
May pambayad pa po ba ang corporation?
Meron. The corporation has the assets to pay off.
Kahit namatay na po yung mga livestock.
Yes, kasi of course, makakapagbayad. Kasi may asset naman ng corporation namin. In our last audit, the asset of DV Boer is about 1.2 billion.
Right.
So kung now as a corporation, ang remedy namin is unang-una, yung unang remedy namin is yung i-equitize namin. We will give away a portion of the corporation to the partners. Yan ay remedy na ginagawa ng isang corporation na magbibigay, kumbaga ibibigay mo yung corporation mo, a part of your corporation, ibibigay mo doon sa mga partners. Ginagawa po namin yan. Kaya
What
nga
is the
po,
timeline for this? I think that's a great news. Magandang news po yan, Mr. Dexter, and thank you for thinking of your partners also. What will be the timeline for that? And will
well,
this include all partners? Kahit yung mga partners po na nag-withdraw dati, na sinabi
Hindi,
ninyo,
sa,
tinotroll kayo. Yes.
oo, sa totoo lang, dapat matagal nang tapos yan. Kaya lang, they are continuing to destroy us eh. Sa lahat na lang, sinisiraan kami,
So
yung
do you want them to stop muna kayong tiraan before you give the money back?
they have to stop kasi the corporation is hurting. Hindi naman ako sinasaktan nila, yung corporation na nandun yung pera nila eh.
Mhm.
Do you
Alright.
understand? A
Yes, I
corporation is
understand.
a separate juridical entity. Kahit ba ipakulong mo ko, kahit mamatay ako, the corporation will exist.
I understand.
At ang
Dexter,
pera nila ay nasa corporation.
Okay, I'd like to give the chance to investors, and I will bring up on the stream Cong Argel and Commissioner Kelvin Lee and our investor, para we can all talk. I mean, as we can all talk as adults naman, di ba guys? So please keep the conversation fair and respectful to everybody. Maraming salamat po for coming together. Now, Dexter, you still there?
Yes, I'm here.
All right. Okay. So we're talking about solutions. I think we've gone past the time na babalikan pa natin yung past and titingnan natin kung sino may kasalanan. That's not the purpose of my purpose for bringing everybody together. I think what would be really wonderful for this team is to come up with a workable solution to the problem of our investors whose only fault is to think of their future and investing their money in something that they believe in. I think putting your money in agriculture is a great thing. Going for food security is a great thing. And if something exists para yung mga OFW na nasa ibang bansa or yung mga Pilipino na nandito ay magkakaroon ng chance to do something productive about the land, I think everybody would agree that that's a great thing. So ano po yung magandang solution natin? Maybe we'll first ask Commissioner Kelvin and then Cong Argel and then Dexter again. And then the investor kung meron po kayong katanungan na dagdag. Commissioner?
Ma'am Salve, I have to be careful because in effect, I'll be acting as parang judge in this situation later on. So I don't want na
Okay.
no? But
I understand.
I would encourage the investors to check na po, no, on the details kung whether or not legitimate yung whatever company that may be. And to the the company, the investment company, I'm not clear kasi what is the status of the registration statement under the Securities Regulation Code. So if ever, I would encourage you to please file kung hindi pa na-file or if to continue processing because if not, then there does seem to be some issues na kaagad, no? Mako-question po talaga yung investment taking contract.
So hindi pwedeng hintayin, Commissioner, na everything smooth na muna before this is done. It has to be done now.
Well, from what I'm hearing po kasi, it seems like there was some investment taking being done
Even after the advisory.
Oh, parang I don't want to prejudge, no, kasi nga it's not in front of me yet. If that is the situation, then there might be some issues nga po sa registration statement. Kaya nga I encourage the parties, no, separately to reach out to our respective departments ko sa SEC and then sort out the details kasi otherwise talaga if we start doing things then mahirap po, no. We don't want another advisory, I'm guessing, no. I'm sure DV Boer doesn't want that. And I'm sure the witnesses and si Cong Argel would not want naman din siguro that this entire thing will just shut down, no, without getting the money back or whatever other issues that is it. I'm a little neutral, no? I'm trying
I understand. I understand, guys. Please be kind. Marami tayong iba-ibang roles dito. So Commissioner Kelvin has been very, very helpful. Cong Argel.
Yes. Kami naman, we have our own solution, but Dex is not involved in that. In fact, we've been organizing the victims for months now, and we intend to take over the fund. Kasi ang hirap na mag-uusap ng solusyon, maayos ba yung kausap mo? Nagsasabi ba ng totoo? Alam mo, okay naman tayo na mag-usap-usap Kaya lang kung hindi totoo yung kausap mo, mahirap, walang solusyon. So, what we have decided with the victims that I was able to organize is for us to take over the farm. Pero alam nyo, bukod sa solution, we should also be seeking justice. Kasi ang daming buhay ang nasira nito. Hindi biro yung pera na tanggap nila. Sinasabi nila na sa SEC, ang sinabi nilang ang number ng pa-EV partners, ilan po ba, Commissioner? Sinasabi lang meron daw silang 200 pa-EV partners, no? 600. I don't have the record wala rin sa akin pero ganyan lang kaliit. Pero ang totoong pa-EV partners ay nasa 10,000. So kung doon pa lang niloloko na ng DV Boer ang SEC, anong klaseng solution ang pwede nating asahan sa mga taong sinaling? Tapos sinasabi lang namatay daw yung mga kambing nila dahil sa Taal Volcano. Hindi naman naapektuhan yung lian, pati yung foraging area doon. In fact, mayroong post nga ang DV Boer na hindi daw sila naapektuhan ng Taal. Tapos ngayon, sinisisi na nila. Alam nyo, ang dami na nilang sinisisi. Ako, sinisisi. Yung farm manager, sinisisi. Yung pandemic, sinisisi. Yung Taal Volcano, sinisisi. Yung pag-freeze ng account daw nila, sinisisi. Hindi daw sila makapag-operate. Kung andyan yung mga kambing nila, ba't di nila ibenta? Alam nyo, our Facebook group is complete with pieces of evidence na isa dyan, sinasabi ni Dex na, ilan ang kambing natin dyan? Ilan ang kambing natin? 5,000. 5,000 ang kambing natin dyan. Ilan ang pa-EV partners? 10,000. So ano yun, we are not open to talking about solution with Dex. We are open to talking about the solution with other government agencies. We will take the matters into our own hands. Kami na ang magtitake over ng farm na yan. Yung mga victims na mag-ooperate at who will engage in honest to goodness agriculture. And hopefully, kahit paano, may balik pa sa mga pera nila. Pero yung tatanggapin nila yung, shares of stock. Sinasabi nga ni Dexter na libo-libo na yung wala na silang kambing baka, namatay na. Tapos, eto ang kabayaran mo, papel. Anong silbi ng papel na yan? Wala na nga yung mga kambing baka. Tapos sinasabi na 1.2 billion yung kanilang assets. Well, andito yung isa sa mga whistleblowers nila yung internal auditor nila at saka yung controller na nagsasabi mga falsified yung mga pinapadala sa SEC. Ang pinaka-glaring dyan, yung dami ng pa-EV partners. So, yun lang po siguro ang sabi ko in behalf of our group, yung aming mga na-organize na mga victims. Thank you.
Thank you, Cong Argel. Our investor, would you like to speak out? Pero before you speak out po and before I call back or ask Dexter to comment, para po sa ating mga manonood na nag-aaway-aaway dyan sa comment section, please, ako okay lang for you to air out your concerns, but please no name calling. This is my page and we will just boot out anybody who is not decent in the stream po. Wala pong name calling tayo dito. Okay, from all sides, guys. Ang nanay nagalit. Okay, let's all be decent. I mean, we can talk about, we can have difference of opinion, and that is why we are here. So we can talk about these things like adults. Okay, Mr. Investor, gusto niyo po ba magsalita?
Yes. There are a couple of things na since nandyan si Commissioner. Is DV Boer allowed to do the convertible notes and magbenta ng stocks, or in a way it's benta dahil ipapa-convert niya yung investment namin into stocks? And then I think maybe both congressman and this sa SEC can clarify, kasi pinapirma niya yung ibang investors ng NDA to shut them up actually in effect, para hindi na sila makapaglabas ng information dahil bina-block out na nila yung ibang investors sa mga updates ng Zoom meetings. So, in effect, wala na kaming info. Blackout kami. Dahil hindi kami pumirma, hindi ka makakakuha ng information. Okay? So, parang sinabi ko nga kanina, wala na kami makausap. Wala na kaming ma-reach out. Walang ahente. Nobody. Not even Dex. Okay? And lahat na lang sinisi niya ang Taal. Pati si Corona, nananahimik na COVID. Sinisi na rin. Mamaya, Delta variant, sisisihin na rin niya. Okay? And then, I remembered way back, he said he can pay the investors 3 times over Well, I am only asking for 2 million. I'm not asking for 6 million. 2 million lang, Tex. Ayos na tayo. Okay? Magkano lang ininvest ng mga taong kilala ko? Yung mga namuhunan lang ng konti, hindi sila naghihingi ng 3 times over. Just the principal. I think hindi mo man lang kayang ibigay. Okay? So, for that, questions for the convertible notes, and pwede bang niyang ipa-convert into stocks? Yun lang po.
I'll ask Commissioner to talk about that for a bit, and then and then Dexter.
Salve, excuse me.
Yes.
Bago sumagot si Mr.
Sure. Okay.
Si Sir Kelvin. Yung sinasabing if I can offer convertible notes, yun po ay securities, bawal pong i-offer yun. Ang sinasabi namin sa meeting is option as a corporation, what are the options we can take para mabawi natin ang ating mga hard-earned money. Now, as a corporation, available yun. Pwede mo talagang gawin yun. But that is upon approval of SEC kasi ina-apply pa yun. Kaya nga nakikipag-usap kami sa SEC and we are complying with the requirements. Hindi naman madali ang mag-apply ng secondary license, Bisalve. So ngayon, we are on the process of complying. At kaya may mga meetings kami na ginawa with Director Mioni. Inaano namin 'yan. Inaayos namin yung mga requirements na 'yan. Hindi naman po ganun kadali. So hindi po kami nag-o-offer ng convertible notes, we are just discussing as a corporation kasi nga sabi niya 2 million lang daw bayaran ko siya. Wala naman sa akin ng pera niya, nasa corporation. Kaya nga yung corporation kinakailangan ay ayusin natin para makapagbayad sa mga partners. Ayun lang po.
Dexter, I think that's also a great way to go into the questions na kung merong 1.2 billion assets ang DV Boer, bakit hindi maka-pay out? People are asking about private placements, the microfinance and private placements.
Salve, at the moment kasi hindi liquid ang corporation eh. Marami siyang assets, land assets, meron siya. Pwede siyang magbayad ng land kung tatanggapin. In fact, we have ask some partners if they would like to have a piece of the land of the corporation. May mga pumayag naman eh.
But these convertible notes have been offered before
No.
approval.
It's not been offered. It was discussed as among the corporate remedies. Kasi nga corporation yan. So ano ba ang mga remedies available sa isang corporation? May ginagawa sila dyan. Debt to equity. But it has to be approved by the SEC. Wala naman kaming ini-issue securities pa eh. Hindi naman kami nag-issue.
Mr. Investor, were you offered the convertible notes? Are you saying you were offered that?
I believe I have to look back dun sa...
Or was it just a presentation or was it an offer?
Yes, there is a presentation sa Zoom. And then I have to look back on some of the emails that I have received. Hanapin ko kung if there is
solicitation.
An offer. Okay. Because I believe, parang over my head lang parang meron akong naalalang nabasa.
Mahirap yung parang sa
Mabalikan po natin. Commissioner, I know you were trying to answer na kanina. Nabibigilan ko kayo magsalita. Yes po.
That's fine. Siguro out of respect to both, because once again I emphasize the point that I'm trying to be neutral, no? Because in effect, the functions go moving forward on this matter will probably be that of a similar to a judge. But I am concerned from what I am hearing, no? Si Mr. Witness and si Sir Sir Dex. I would encourage both parties talaga to reach out separately, because it looks like there's a lot of sorting out to do. No? It seems there are a lot of issues here, which I think is concerning to someone like me. I am typically not the one kasi who handles the processing. You're correct. It is one of our directors who does it. But I would encourage you to try to sort this out. Kasi otherwise, if we are forced to act more forcefully, no, then medyo problematic for everyone, I think. And I don't think we want to go there. At least not yet, no. I'm from what I'm gathering. So siguro yun na lang ang statement ko on this, Ma'am Salve, with respect to everyone. Thank you.
Thank you so much for being game, Commissioner. I know how difficult this must be for you, but just having you here is already, I think, comforting. Me as a journalist, it's comforting that everybody's just willing to talk to each other. Kong Argel, I know you were trying to speak also kanina.
Yeah. Dun sa offer nila na corporate remedies, alam mo, marunong naman tayong makinig. Kapag totoo yan, yung debt to equity, yan yung mga remedies na pwedeng i-offer ng kumpanya. Kaya lang, kung mapapansin nyo yung history ng attempts ng DV Boer dyan sa offer ng convertible notes, ng
Salvi,
shares
can
of
we just
stock,
limit the conversation
whatever,
to factual na lang?
Marami silang engaged na auditing firms. Matitindi, KPMG, meron pa yung isa, I forgot. So anong sabi nung whistleblower natin? The DV Boer is inauditable. Hindi nila ma-audit, hindi nila alam kung napunta yung pera. Tapos marami
Hindi
pa
totoo
doon
yan.
personal expenses. So anyway,
Hindi
kung
totoo
hindi
yan,
totoo yan,
Salvi.
pwede naman silang humarap sa korte, sumuko na sila.
Nakakahiya kay
After all,
Commissioner
they are
Kelvin Lee.
fugitives right now.
Okay,
So,
guys, I
yun
think
lang
I
na lang,
need
yun
to
lang
step
yung
in.
sabi ko.
Okay.
Oo.
Maraming salamat. Dexter, final words before we end the stream. I'll give you the chance to air your side, please.
Okay. Sa lahat po ng mga paiwi partners ng DV Boer Farm, para ho mas mapadali ang ating proseso, I think kinakailangan po ay magkaroon din po tayo ng konting background on how the corporation operates. Maliwanag po sa contract natin, you have entered into a contract with a juridical entity. At nagbayad kayo sa corporation account din, hindi naman po sa personal namin. At yung sinasabi po na inauditable daw ang DV Boer, that is false. In fact, na-audit na nga po tayo. External auditor natin is Alas Oplas. Tapos na nga po yung audit, isasubmit na lang po sa SEC for filing. Meron lang pong inaayos, no? So, wag po tayong magpapadala sa mga nag-i-insinuate, no? Ginagamit ang ating present situation sa mga hidden political motives para po sa kanilang vested interest. Ang DV Boer Farm po hanggang ngayon ay bukas at nag-ooperate. Kahit pumunta kayo sa farm, kung wala kayong makausap na online, magpadala kayo ng tao sa farm natin. Bukas po ang ating farm, may mga animals po tayo doon. And we are ready to recover for you. Ngayon, kung hindi na po kayo makakapaghintay, there are remedies na gagawin natin para po sa inyo. We can wala lang po talagang cash kasi talaga meron tayong cash problem, hindi tayo liquid hindi naman po tayo makapag-dispose ng asset basta-basta, especially so may mga cases tayong hinaharap. That would be more problematic for us pag ginawa natin. But meron po tayong ginagawang mga meetings, business meetings, please attend. At yung NDA, non-disclosure agreement, kasi po, yung mga information namin, inilalabas po ng mga ibang grupo at binibigyan ng mga maling kahulugan para po guluhin ang sistema at magulo ang mga partners lalo. Kaya kami, nagpapapirma na kami ng non-disclosure agreement para hindi ilabas ang information at makapag-focus ang corporation sa kanyang recovery.
Okay. Thank you so much, Dexter. Maraming salamat for being here. Final words from everybody. I know there are a lot of issues pa. I want to ask a lot of questions. Si Commissioner nakaganyan na lang. So I think this is an eye-opener for me also. I admit, I thought I knew a lot about this already. I did a lot of research already, but there are new things and it's time for us all to study everything that we can, especially when we are going into investments also for our future. But for now, we won't be able to answer all of your questions. Marami pang mga katanungan dyan sa baba. But we'll have to end the show because this is already an hour and a half. Final words po from our investor, Cong Argel, and then Commissioner. Mr. Investor po.
Hi. Hello. Yes. Thank you po sa chance na kahit papaano mailabas namin I hope na kahit papaano may nasabi ako na yung mga hinaing din ng mga ilan man kaming investors. I'm sure we're quite a lot. Thank you kay Commissioner Kelvin Lee and Congressman, salamat din na you would risk taking up this challenge to somehow get any justice for all the investors and all the partners. And pati yata yung mga sub-farms na medyo nawindang sa nangyari. Going forward, honestly, we just hope na kami, yung mga investors, makuha lang man lang kami namin yung pera. Kasi wishing for the payout for yung return of investment, medyo wishful thinking na eh. Yung puhunan naman lang. Okay? Now, kung makakuha kami nung return, yung kinita, bonus na yon. Okay? And be honest with what the status of the company is, dahil meron kaming mga kasamahan na pumunta dun sa farm recently, wala naman daw laman yung farm eh. Yung statwa na lang daw bumati sa kanila. Hindi nga nagsalita yung statwa. Yun lang po. Thank you very much po, Miss Salve.
Thank you, Mr. Investor, for taking your time. Kong Argel?
Yes, oo. Ako ang gusto ko lang sabihin sa mga PIB partners, sa victims, maniwala tayo sa taong nagsasabi ng totoo. Kapag hindi ka nagsasabi ng totoo, wala talagang point na makinig na sa'yo. Especially if you're being gaslighted. And after all, merong initiative ang mga victims. Ito nga, next week magkakaroon kami ng election of officers. So we can start taking over the farm ourselves. After all, alam ni Commissioner yan, they have that remedy. Pwede voluntary rehab wherein you can take over a farm through an rehabilitator and or pwede i-attach yung property. So doon na tayo kumuha ng farm.
Solution.
Yan na yung solution na nakikita namin na sigurado na kahit paano may makukuha pa yung mga victims. And at the same time, tulungan rin kami to get justice for what happened. Kasi libo-libong pamilya talaga ang nasira ang buhay dahil dito. Hindi sapat na makakabawi tayo ng pera natin na medyo labo na nga ang mabawi yung kompleto in the near future. I think we should also seek justice. So, yun lang po.
Maraming salamat, Kong Argel. Commissioner, gutom ka na ba? Gutom na rin ako eh.
No, I'm fine. No, I'm just concerned lang, no, Ma'am Salve, with what I'm hearing here. No, I guess part of the problem of being a commissioner, kasi nga we're on appeal and everything, yung decision-making capabilities namin. I'll admit sometimes I am isolated, especially with COVID. No, so with what I'm hearing, I am very concerned. Siguro I encourage na lang all the parties to try to sort this out. Nga, like I said earlier, I encourage the investment company to please reach out and finalize whatever registration statement you are filing. There is still indeed one pending. For the complainants naman po, si witness number 1 and your compatriots, please file the verified complaint if there is anything you want to let us know, we can move or investigate or do whatever. No, and to the good congressman, thank you for telling us your story. It is good for me to know these things as well. I just hesitate to I will wait na lang po for the actual written complaints and things like that. So siguro with that, I hope that's sufficient. Unless nga the parties can somehow sort this out, and perhaps talk to each other. I would be happier if that would be the direction, sana.
That would be the best.
Yes, please.
Yeah.
Thank you,
so much. Maraming salamat. Dexter, Mr. Investor, Kong Argel, and Commissioner Kelvin. I am very, very grateful that you have allowed us to bring you everybody together. And for all the investors out there, please take it easy. Take care of yourself, study investing, and know how to discern and know how to use whatever help the government has. The SEC has a website where you can check all of the advisories, whichever part of the world you are in. Before you put money in any investment, please check it first. A phone call will be difficult, but the website is always there. The media, and I promise this to everybody, I will talk about investor education more frequently in this channel, and hopefully our guests today will allow us to guest them again in the future so that we can have more learning experiences here. This is free. Wala tong ano, 'di ba? Sa TV kasi kailangan mo pa ng magbayad, no? Sorry sa aking mga boss. Kailangan mo ng cable connection. This is free. You just need Wi-Fi connection, and then you can have investment education for free. So I really I'm really grateful for everybody, and to everybody who's out there, please take care of yourself, be kind to each other. I think there is a need for that in this world today. Maraming salamat, Dexter, Mr. Investor, Cong, Argel, and Commissioner Kelvin. And I'll bring them down, but I'll again invite everybody to my birthday party ng YouTube channel natin next week, July 31 na po. Huwag po kayo mawawala. We have around 100,000 pesos worth of fun prizes in cash and in kind na ipapadala sa mga sumasali sa ating pakulo. Nandyan po sa baba kung paano kayo makakasali. Para sa hindi pa nagsusubscribe dito sa YouTube channel, subscribe na po kayo because you will find a lot more opportunities to learn, to earn, and to be happier as an individual. I am grateful for all of you tonight. And before I end, let me just say this to everybody. You know, I keep saying this, money is never the most important thing in life. But knowing how to handle money does allow us to do the things that are most important to us. And listening to our conversation today brings that back into my consciousness that we have to put everything in perspective. People are still more important than money, and integrity and transparency and the ability to talk to each other like adults and be respectful even though we have different opinions is one way for us to be kind to ourselves and to be kind to others as well. That's more important than money. And this conversation tonight, you heard it here only on SalveSays. Maraming salamat po to everybody. Bye everyone.